I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to get now to what I tried to get to today. Now I got a bow in there. And that's the 5-year anniversary of MH370. I covered what I think it's a conspiracy. If you want to argue with me on that, I encourage it because there's nothing better than back and forth radio. I don't believe it was abducted by a UFO. I don't believe it's in the southern Indian Ocean. I don't believe that's where it's crashed. My biggest thing is these the quote pieces that have been found that have been I think there's been 20 something, but only 3 or 4 have been connected to MH370. But
right,
you could make that up. It's like you say, oh, the serial number matches it. We don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't believe it because I watched the thing happen live and I watched it all go down and I watched it 24 hours a day. And that's why I'm trying to go back and find the stuff that ironically is getting erased from the internet, which is another thing I'm telling you is the problem. It's pretty much to the point where I don't trust, our government. I believe in like when you see like enemy of the state and national treasure and all those weird stuff. I think these are all based on real things, like the president's book of secrets and all stuff. But above all, I believe in these conspiracy theories. And how does every good conspiracy start? Well, you basically have to have a number of people who want to keep it a conspiracy,
right?
And it has to, it's just like Oswald supposedly shoots Kennedy, and then Ruby shoots Oswald. How does every good conspiracy work? And then
everything's tied together, and it's done.
Then it's done. So MH370, there's too many plot holes for me. For one, the exact time that the handshake from Malaysia to Vietnam was when the transponder was turned off. Okay. 2, where it could fly to. This is what really bothers me. I've always thought it ended up... Okay, first of all, let me bring this up to your attention. Okay, they keep bringing up the fact that he had a flight to the South Indian Ocean in his flight simulator. He also had other things in there. One to Diego Garcia. 2 of them actually in the Maldives that had 1,000-foot runways, and there was also a one from let me see here, Diego Garcia, one in the Maldives, one to Sri Lanka, and then 2 in southern India, which were well within the fuel capacity of the plane. Okay,
right
now the morning of, so they disappeared at like 1:45 in the morning, March 8th. So somewhere around, I think it was 6 a.m. or something, 6:30 a.m. Some people in the Maldives reported a low-flying plane that matched Malaysian callers. But that gets swept under the rug. And then there's that famous photograph that's nothing but a black square.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
That had the, how they all have basically their coordinates, but they're not called that. Their IDs on each photo, and it basically showed him, it was that Woods guy, I think is his last name, from America. And he said, I hope I'm being hostage here at Diego Garcia. This is, blah, blah, blah. And it shows just this black square. And the I don't know if it's a geotag or whatever it's called on the picture was basically showing those coordinates. So to me, the reason is they haven't found it and they've combed that place. And Chris, if you can pull that, can you pull that up now where we were talking where I wanted to show?
The map 1?
Yeah. Pull up map 1, please. So if you're watching a video, map 1 here is going to show you 2 circles. And see, everybody concentrates on this arc. Okay. So there's going to be 2 circles, and I'm waiting for it to pull up. All right. So there's 2 circles here. You see a red circle and a white circle. Okay. Now, these 2 circles are what the Inmarsat satellite says it could have went to, okay? The red circle is the one that they focused on. Okay, now you see the white zigzag line there. That is the actual flight path until they lost contact with it. Okay, now here's the other thing. Where the two circles meet, okay, you see one at the north and one at the bottom, okay, where the circles basically cross each other. They're saying that is where the plane landed, okay, due to fuel. That's where it could have landed. They ruled out the northern portion. Now that northern portion, there is a runway there. If you was to get on Google Earth, it's in Kazakhstan. There's a runway there that could have taken it down. There's one here in the southern Indian Ocean. That's what off of Perth. That's where you've seen the where they've looked for the southern Indian Ocean, where they've combed the floor and everything. Mm-hmm. But if you look, you can bring that full screen again there, Chris. If you were to look at that and you look at both these circles, okay, and this is just from a Inmarsat beacon that shows where it's sent and received, okay, you can see, if you don't know where the Maldives are, Chris, do you have can your cursor show for me?
I can't show I can't do the cursor thing on there.
Okay, so if you know where India's at, okay, for instance, right in the middle of this, there's a big red dot, okay? This is center of the red circle. If you go just to the right of that, you're going to see those islands. Those are the Maldives. Okay, that is where Diego Garcia is. That's where the other MLE runway is, the southern runway. I believe that is the actual runway to go to Maldives. The Maldives is a resort destination. And then there was the one in Sri Lanka, which is the island right off of India there. And then India up there had the other two. So there's 5 locations that were on his simulator. Okay? As you can see, it's well within what his fuel consumption could have been. Well within it. And it is exactly 5 hours from his last known, the handshake to there, which would have put it 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, right, which adds up to what they see. Okay? So if they landed at Diego Garcia, which is basically Area 51 in the ocean, then they could have made it there. They could have made the Maldives. They could have made it to India. There's a North Korean one that says North Korea took it hostage. The suicide thing doesn't make sense to me, because why are you going to go and then turn south and just wait until you fly until you run out of gas? I don't get if you're going to just kill yourself, you have no consequences, no repercussions, because you're dead. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're going to do it, why wait? Why sit there and to me, like, prolong your death? Like, you know you're going to kill yourself. It'd be like holding a gun to your head for 7 hours waiting to pull the trigger. That just does not add up. And with everything we have, I don't understand why, for the life of me, they would basically go that far and comb that much of the ocean. If you pull up the other picture with the red arc, why they would go to the point where they've literally combed that ocean so much, they know more about that part of the seabed now than a lot of the ocean, and have found nothing. There's no debris. There's nothing. And I'll tell you why, because it's not there. Okay, so you see this one right here. Can you enlarge that one by chance?
Yeah. So
what happens here is you have the blue circle, which is the maximum speed where that plane could have went. Okay, at minimum speed, this is the red arc where they focused. Okay, so if you notice, they've looked at the top here. They looked at where I told you Kazakhstan, and then they took the bottom mark here, which is the famous one because it's off Perth, Australia, and that's where they're trying to say that plane crashed. It doesn't make sense to me to where you see the last radar contact to fly that far south and wait for it to run out of gas. Why not just dump it in the ocean? Why are you going to go ahead and just say, heck with it, I'm just going to sit here and... to me, that would be like playing mind games with yourself. Like, I'm just going to let it sit here. I mean, unless you basically took it The only thing that I can see is if you depressurized the cabin, knocked yourself out, and the autopilot took over until it ran out of gas. That's the only way I can see it land in the Southern Indian Ocean. I don't know. He was an experienced pilot. He showed no sense, no signs of being irrational, nothing like that. Here's one point that a lot of people got swept under the rug for me that really bothered me. You can go ahead and get away from the map now. There was some people on this there's some people on this thing sorry, I just got a text message. There's some people on this thing that were really, really high important people, okay? Let me see where it's at here. They had the bottom line, they had a semiconductor patent. I don't know if you remember hearing about this. Okay. There were 3 engineers on this flight that they had there were 20 senior staff on board a U.S. technology company who had just launched a new electronic warfare gadget for military radar systems days before this went missing, okay? The Freescale Semiconductor had been developing microprocessors, sensors, and other technology for the past 50 years. The technology it creates is commonly referred to as embedded processors, which according to the firm are standalone semiconductors, perform dedicated computing functions in electronic systems. Okay, there were 20 staff members here. After the plane crashed, a guy named a Rothschild inherited the whole patent himself because everybody else died on that plane, which in turn made him billions. Okay? So, if you ask yourself, why that plane? That's one theory. Could there have been... This guy was already a billionaire, okay? Mm-hmm. And so if this is his name's Jacob Rothschild. He was already a billionaire. If you want to have something done and you got that much money, maybe it was hijacked. Maybe it was taken to Diego Garcia. Maybe it is in Kazakhstan. I mean, all you got to do is depressurize the cabin, knock the people out, start throwing them out the window or out the door. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened, but when you go and look at the manifest of this flight, that sticks out to me. Now, there were a couple guys that had stolen passports. They didn't add up. Okay, they were just stolen passports. They were trying to find. They were running. They were trying to find asylum in Europe. Nothing come of that. This here is pretty weird for me to have 20 of its 21 people on that plane. Rothschild's the only one that's not on it, who's already a billionaire. What was he worth? I saw it earlier, 6.6 billion or something like that. But now he's the sole owner of that patent because of all 20 of those people who were on there died because of that. I mean, money can make you do crazy things, right? So one of my theories is this could have something to do with it. What really drives me nuts, though, is there are eyewitness reports. There were guys that were fishing. Let me go back to the map here and see. There were guys fishing in the what was that? The Sea of Japan? No, South China Sea, and the bay there, the Malaysia Straits there. There was guys on the field that said they saw a plane flying on fire like an out of control kite, and then there were people, like I said, in the Maldives, which you can take that picture down now if you want to.
Well, I didn't know if that's the areas that you.
Oh, okay. You just brought it up. I was on a different page. So basically, there were people that said they were there, and unfortunately, you can't do the mouse over it. But basically, everything around Vietnam, right there. There was people there. I think it was in the Gulf of Thailand that said they saw a plane on fire. And then you go to the Maldives, and there are reports of that. So you can go ahead and get out of that map now. So when these people say that they had eyewitness reports, that they saw them over the Maldives, and they saw them. Here, my question is, they never even bothered to check those places. There's no wreckage except for what they're saying is a couple pieces that showed up in Madagascar, which was near over the Maldives.
Right.
There's no there's no basically evidence that this thing crashed. There's no evidence of anything. If they were taken to, like people were saying the phones were still ringing. Well, there's a thing that the cell phones do that will still let it ring even though it may be destroyed. It just doesn't mean that the phone's on. I was just reading about that a little bit ago. But, there's just all kinds of different terrorist attack, North Korea, all that stuff. Diego Garcia, which I believe is one of the biggest ones, just because of people saying, "Hey, I saw a huge plane," and they're used to seeing planes. Maldives is like Bora Bora. I don't know if you know it. It's one of the biggest all-inclusive vacation destinations in the world. It's got the huts that goes through the water, and the water is so clear it looks like pool. People are saying, "Hey, this isn't the normal type of plane that flies in here. This is it was red and blue. It was white with red and blue stripe. It had smoking out of one engine. Blah blah blah." So they dismiss it. Okay, you don't look there. You don't take that eyewitness in the There's no eyewitnesses in the southern Indian Ocean, right? Not one. And except for the Somerset data, which is a ping. Now, here's what really, really got me, which basically says, hey, we're not going to tip our hat. I remember watching this, okay? And they said the big major powers, Russia, China, United States, all these major military powers were not going to tip their hat with their radar. Because you remember around there, they said there wasn't a lot of radar. That's how they got dipped in and out of, because there wasn't a lot of flight radar, right? So basically, U.S., Russia, China, all these major powers around there that basically could track it weren't going to show what they could see, because nobody wanted to show what, we don't want to show Russia what we can actually see. Russia doesn't want to show us what they can actually see. This was all on the news.
Right.
I mean, I wish I could make a clip up like 9/11 in plain sight, and it was spelled PLANE. Mm-hmm. And they had the news coverage from the day of 9/11 with no other thing. It was just like from the day of, which I tried to look up today, and I found a few of these things, like with the actual original circles instead of just the arc you always see. So these people, basically, you got eyewitnesses here, you got eyewitnesses there, you got Inmarsat data. And yet, you're not going to check out where a human, more than one human being, it was quite a few people in the Maldives said, hey, we saw this plane flying awful low that's not around here. Our planes that land here, I'll agree, are not sevens. They're probably 737s, which are the normal 3 and 3 seats. The 777 is the 3, and then the 4 in the middle and the 3 sides. So they're bigger planes. And they're the most safest planes on the world. My opinion is, I think they landed somewhere. I don't think they crashed in the ocean at all. I do not think so. Now, why? Like I said, one of the theories for me is 20 of those people for that patent. That's a lot of money to go ahead and say, hey, they're gone now. It's all mine.
Right.
There's a lot. There was another thing on there about somebody, which I didn't have a lot of time to look it up. But I mean, there's just a lot of stuff on there that really, really makes you scratch your head, because no debris field, no muds or no oil spills, nothing like that. It's all just basically, to me, every good conspiracy it's like a magic trick. We'll have you look over here while this is going on over here. We're not going to go to the Maldives and check this out because we want you to believe in the Southern Indian Ocean. And we're spending millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's the most expensive search in history, in my opinion, hunting a place that it's not there. I mean, it's just, I don't believe it's there. with all the stuff we have and all the technology, if I can get on Google Earth and zoom into my backyard to the point where I can see my deck and my pool, and that's what I can do, you mean to tell me that, I'm sorry, like I said, that these military powers, they mentioned this on CNN. They could tell you where this was, because even though it was out of airport radars, military radars are a lot stronger, and they are not going to tip their hat because nobody wants you to know what you can see and what you cannot see, which I understand that. I'm not going to tip my hat. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, you know, we know where it's at. The Cambodian forest thing, where they say it landed, okay, if you look it up, I don't have, if you look it up and you can show it, that's cool. Look up MH370 Cambodian forest and it'll show a Google image. Can you by chance pull that up at all? If you look it up.
No, what was that? I'm sorry. I was pulling something up because I just remembered another eyewitness thing. I was trying to figure out where that eyewitness account was from. What was the one you were talking
about? MH370 Cambodian jungle. Okay, it's going to show a jet in this jungle. First of all, the measurements don't line up. But second of all, if you pull it up here, and hopefully you can pull it up here on a page like you did the other pictures here. And I'm on a delay watching, so I'm going to wait for this to be pulled up here. But there's no debris field, and the plane is pretty much intact. So for me, if it lands in the jungle, I'm thinking the trees are going to rip its wings off, and we're going to see maybe the fuselage, right? But have you found it yet?
I think so.
Okay, go ahead and share it to the video here if you could. Yes, that's it. Okay, so this thing right here.
I realized I just screwed up because I went to go check something.
Oh, you.
That's why I noticed it was a split second.
All right,
like,
so
crud.
If you look at this here, that was found by a guy messing around Google Earth. Okay, first of all, here's the problem. It doesn't add up as far as dimensions goes. But here's my other problem. There's no debris field, right? It's just like it just fell and flopped right in the middle there. But here's the biggest smoking gun. That is in a flight path. Okay, This is just like boats and airplanes. You all have your flight path. This could very well been that Google Earth caught a plane in flight and it was flying over the jungle, because you can't tell if that's in the jungle or 30,000 feet above the jungle. So you can go and take that off. But that's one of the conspiracy theories that goes along as the Cambodian jungle. The phantom cell phone hypothesis, I brought that up. Some had speculated the passengers were still alive but could not answer their cell phones because they were still ringing. Basically, it's like they said that they can still produce what they call ringbacks, which is what you hear, when you're calling. But it does that because it's searching for the cell phone, even if it's destroyed. So just because you don't go right to voicemail doesn't mean that the phone is on or off. Crew suicide hijacking. This is the biggest one. I just don't see it being that. I don't see a guy basically trying to kill himself and waiting 7 hours to do it. I just don't see that, Chris. I just don't. And on top of that, if you want to go hide an airplane, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to say this right now. Let's say this Rothschild or the U.S. government or some other government. Okay, you're a pilot. Hey man, I'll pay you $1 million. Okay, and and they knew how to get through it because it's, unfortunately, they always said it was one of the least radared places in the world. If you're going to hide a plane, that's the perfect place to do it. Okay, well, guess what?
Yeah.
Now we have a plan. What are we going to do? Well, there's 20 people with this patent on there. If that guy wanted to pay him off for something else. But bottom line is, if you're going to hijack a plane and take it somewhere, you couldn't have picked a better spot to do it. The handshake between Malaysia and Vietnam. It turns off right between the two. Perfect timing. Then he goes in and out of airspace over the Malaysian Peninsula, in and out of what was that? I had to look it up on the thing on the. I'm about to pull up Google Maps there, but they kept flying in and out of airspace there, and you fly around, what was it, 10,000 feet? It was basically avoiding all radar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much, if you're going to plan the perfect way to steal a big ass plane, you couldn't ask for better conditions than what this place did, just by pure location and lack of radar and where to go. It basically came back after it turned. It came back right here between what is this? Malaysia and I can see the border right here. But basically it flew along this border around 2,000 feet and kept swerving in and out of this border. And then that way air traffic control was like, oh, wait, well, we're not worried it's not in there. Oh, now it is. They weren't too worried about it because it kept disappearing from the radar. And then he takes a right-hand turn, and he goes up, and they say he peaked his wing down at Pyongyang or whatever, or not Pyongyang, that's North Korea. Phuket Sound. What was it he did? Pyongyang, shoot. Basically his hometown, I can't find it on here, I apologize. But they say he tipped his wing down according to satellite data and looked down at his city for one last time. And then that was basically the last that they had contact was right there. And then supposedly they took a left turn into the sea. So, it's like I said, as far as I'm concerned, that's my opinion. Do I believe 100% it's in the Maldives? No, but there's so many eyewitnesses that said that they saw this plane in the Maldives. It's hard for me to not say, well, let's go check it out, unless you're trying to cover something up, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How does every good conspiracy theory start? You got to get all the people on board with the same thing. So, with all the things that I've said there, with the 20 guys out of 21 that were part of this patent, and this guy becomes a billionaire because of it, with the fact that, it was the perfect place in all of the world to be able to do this. Even a pilot said it, which unfortunately we can't do due to copyright, but you can look it up if you look up the MH370, and it'll have the panelists. It was on a special on CNN, and it had one of the pilots that said straight up, if I was going to do this, this is exactly how I would hide a Boeing 777. I would do this exact same route. And they keep focusing on the fact that he had a route in his simulator that took him to the Indian Ocean. Well, like I said, he had one for Diego Garcia, the Maldives, Sri Lanka, and 2 in India, but those don't get talked about. So, if it is a conspiracy theory, then how in the world do you've combed the southern Indian Ocean everywhere you think it's on this 70-degree arc, was what they're called. That red arc's called, it's called a 70-degree arc. Basically you have combed everywhere along that thing and not found it. But the one piece that was found, supposedly, was in Madagascar, which would fall in line with the currents. Mm-hmm. But I have a problem still believing, Chris, I could sit there and tell you this wasn't my cell phone. Oh, this is my brother's. You don't know, right? How do we know? I mean, anybody can make an extreme lie. Anybody can. If you have enough people to go along with it and testify. If you have enough money, you can do anything. This guy's an expert with Boeing 777. The serial numbers match MH370. Okay, it's like saying I believe everything I read on Wikipedia. Anytime I see a news article that got a source from Wikipedia, which I do a lot, just like we laugh. We're
really?
Like, okay, because I can get in there and retype that.
Yeah, that's funny because that was like the one thing that you get beat in your head is Wikipedia is not a source.
Right.
You may go to Wikipedia and go, well, this is where all these people got their sources, and then you go look for it yourself and say, okay, well, this is Joe Bob,
Yeah,
and on his website, that's where that source came from.
and I'll tell you, I just there's other things that don't make sense that I wish I would have had, and then we got on here and we got on some other stuff, which is fine. It's been a great show. I'm not done yet. I just realized it's quiet.
Yeah.
Sweet. I just realized they're not playing now. There's some stuff I want to get into. There was one that said that they got shot down over Gulf of Thailand too, which I want to get to next, but we need to go to break real quick.
Yeah.
I need to check some stuff. This is going to be a little bit of a longer break. I got to do some stuff. It's 2:47. This may be about a 5-minute break. If you're on here, don't go anywhere. And if you have anything to add in this, I would love to hear other people's theories on this. I would love for you to call in 705-4371. Let us know what you think. I really want to get Chris's opinion on this after the break, but I got a phone call and a text message I need to take care of, and I need to look up this other eyewitness from an oil rig that said they saw this thing go down. So hang with us. We're going to take a little bit longer break this time so I can get this pulled up, and don't go anywhere. You're listening to the DJ Booth on Pipe Geek Radio. We'll be right back. I was just doing some reading on the Maldive Islanders that had reported it, and this is what drives me nuts: is they dismissed it due to the Inmarsat satellite data, but like that Inmarsat data doesn't exactly. It's not like what you can get on and track your the exact plane. It's just sent a ping. These people that were in the island. It's a small island, but it grew after the tsunami. Grew to like population of 3,500 people. It's in the Maldives. It was called let's see here. Kind of skipping around here. Kuta Havudu. It would be hard to find. Yeah, it would be hard to find by accident. It's a tiny island located in the central part of the Maldives, at the southern tip of Dahalu Atul, wherever that is. That must be the island. I don't know. But anyway, it's not on the luxury tourism map, and the island claims 5 mosques and just 4 private cars. It calls to prayer, dictate rhythm of the day here, while weeks are punctuated by the arrival every Wednesday morning of the cargo ferry from the Maldivian capital, Male, which, by the way, Male is where the other runway was that he said, by the way. Delivering passengers, chickens, mopeds, sacks of rice, onions, occasional fridge or fan, blah, blah. Every Saturday, the same ferry returns. Now, the population of this place swelled to 3,500 in December 2004 when it had to accommodate the survivors from the neighboring islands destroyed by that great tsunami that came through. So, the world's attention then turned to there when a number of islanders claimed to have seen a large plane flying low a few hours after MH370 disappeared from radar screens 40 minutes into its flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. At first, the flight time from Kuala Lumpur appeared to be compatible with this theory, assuming that the aircraft had turned due west after its last contact with air traffic control, since it was scheduled to land in China at 6:30 a.m., roughly the same time as the sighting over the Maldives. This assumption gathered support because it's a similar distance traveled, right timing, it all seemed to fit. That's when the Malaysian officials rejected it because the eyewitness accounts because of the transponder with the Inmarsat.
Mm-hmm.
But more than 20-some witnesses did this. There's a lady here showing her. She said that, let's see here. Malaysian officials were quick to reject it. See, 40 minutes of flight. She, in a climate of the distrust that had set between the families that disappeared and the authorities, though, Malaysia's denial lent credence to the possibility that the flight had instead flowed towards the Maldives. As time went on and no sign of the lost airliner emerged, rumors refused to die. French weekly magazine Paris Match and newspaper The Australian sent reporters to the Maldives to investigate. Both publications claimed that the large plane, quote, spotted could have been MH370. The Australian report published on April 4th of this year, which was that year that 2014. It said that it had been spotted in March morning over Kuta Havudu, and then the Boeing 777 could not have come down more than 4,000 miles away in the southern Indian Ocean. where hugely expensive submarine search operations led by Australia were still ongoing, which still makes me mad to this day. So this lady greets her in her inner courtyard of her breeze of a block home with a glass rose, flavored milk, and a bowl of fresh mangoes. Leaning against a rack on which saucepans are drying in the sun, the housewife concentrates as she describes what she saw that morning as she swept her yard. She says, quote, "It was a big plane making a lot of noise." She points to a section at her zinc roof and then draws an arc in the sky. Ollie remains that it was 6:15 a.m., give or take a few minutes, because 5 a.m. is prayer time. Like I said, this island has 5 mosques. And following which, at 6 a.m., she usually sweeps her courtyard. That morning, another eyewitness, 16-year-old schoolboy, had nipped out to retrieve a piece of clothing from the wash line. He was getting ready for his Saturday class, which starts at 7 a.m., He saw the aircraft pass overhead through a gap between 2 tall trees. Using the compass on a mobile phone, he points to where the aircraft came from, west to northwest, concurring with Ali, which basically saying the same thing she did. Logically speaking, MH370 should have been coming from the opposite direction, due east or due east-northeast. The guy, I can't pronounce his name, checks the location of Malaysia on his Google Maps app. The information troubles him. There was blue and red paint around the cockpit, he says, as you'd expect to find on Malaysian airline aircraft, but no logo that he could remember. A 46-year-old man is a handyman. He was standing in the sea fishing when he heard an aircraft. He recalls a strong wind was blowing, which is an oddity near the equator, and because it was blowing towards the plane, he wasn't aware of the aircraft until it was directly above him. When the plane banked head southeast, he said he saw some red underneath the portholes and some red around the door. He said, "There's something behind all this. People have clearly seen something, but if the aircraft had come down in our waters, we would have found bits of wreckage. We have lots of Donies, I guess is how it's pronounced, DHONIS, which are called fishing boats out there. They have phones. Even they're a long way away, they can notify us if something happens." Eyewitness accounts were first published in the local newspaper, the Haveru Daily, 10 days after the event. They were very insistent, but we did not really believe them. What people from the small islands tell you they saw, he says, leaving what he thinks of the outer islands to imagination. Now, I don't know how all these people imagine the same thing, especially on a remote island. The guy they're not like watching the news, right? Especially the guy on a fishing boat.
Right.
So, according to that, that's why they did. But, when they enter their airspace, they're still quite low, between 31 and 33,000 feet. And account of their fuel reserves, says the former pilot, they often have permission to climb to 39 to 42 when they leave our airspace. But the Maldives basically does not, like I said, get those types of airplanes. They said it didn't appear to be falling. It was just flying lower than normal. This is why they think it landed somewhere there, because like you said, there would have been, a lot of debris. So there's another one that says, "I was playing ball with my 3-year-old outside when he pointed to the sky and shouted, 'Daddy, plane, plane.'" As Adam Sadid, who teaches Dhiveh, which is the Maldivian language, at the education center. "My first thought was it was a plane coming in to land at the next Atolls airport. I was just annoyed that it was flying so low and disturbing all of us on a Saturday morning." He too made a statement to the police. According to civil authorities recording the flights across the zone retrieved from air traffic control data, Maldivian, an airline that uses blue and red in its livery, operated flight DQ-A149 from Male to, I don't know what the word is there, on March 8th last year, and landed at 6:33 a.m. at the airport on Ta Atoll, some 50 kilometers southeast of Kudu Habudu. This plane does not look anything like what they described. The aircraft was a twin-engine DHC, 50-seaters, notoriously noisy. This plane, compared to what they're saying they saw, this plane is a twin-prop plane. Probably carries maybe, he said 50-seaters. That's a big difference from Boeing 777. But like I said, how does every good conspiracy theory start? You got it. you have everybody on board with lying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Inmarsat data, you've got governments, you've got the 4 days afterwards where there was conflicting information that Malaysia was not giving out. You've got all this different eyewitnesses. You've got a space in the southern Indian Ocean that has been combed better than parts of any other ocean now because of this. That's not found a trace, except for pieces found on the other side where I think it's at. And they're saying those are parts of the wreckage, which I still don't believe. The one that landed on, was it called Reunion Island or whatever? That's the smoking gun. It's the biggest piece that's supposed to be off the wing. But yeah, to me, there's something fishy going on. Now, can I tell you exactly what, aside from those 20 guys that had that patent, and with them gone, the John Rothschild inherits the patent and all the money with it? That's kind of odd to me, but I mean, am I saying that's what happened? I don't know, but with everything you know, Chris, and everything you've heard or watched, do you believe that thing went down in the southern Indian Ocean?
No, I mean, it makes it hard to. I mean, honestly, the more stuff comes out and more stuff that you see, it just makes it hard to believe that.
It really does. With the technology we have, and if you go and you look up, if you want to look up the spots that they've combed, and it shows like all they've done there, on the floor bed and so on and so forth. I mean, to me, it's like I said, a conspiracy is just like a magic trick. Look over here while we're doing this. Let's blame Lee Harvey Oswald over here while the other guys are over here shooting him in front. It's everything. It's all the same way. And now, why would you do that? I can't tell you, because the only thing on there that makes any sense to me of why you would do it is Rothschild. Okay, did the pilots get paid a tremendous amount of money to go ahead and put on their masks, then depressurize the passenger cabin? Then that knocks everybody out and kills them, and the next thing you know, they land in the Maldives or in Kazakhstan, stash the plane, and seek asylum somewhere in another country with millions of dollars. All honesty, it was said that Zahid, the lead, the pilot on there, had discovered that he'd the night before supposedly had broken up with his girlfriend and was having some problems because he was getting divorced and yada yada yada. To me, that's they went right away to that's good for suicide. To me, it's somebody that's got nothing left to stay there for. If you're going to offer somebody an amount of money to pull this off, what better than a guy that's got nothing but trouble back home and is nothing to stay for? Right. And let's put it this way: there's people out there that do have stuff to pay for. You talking throw them millions of dollars in their face?
They're like, make a whole lot of things better.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Tupac. He's living in Cuba right now. Everybody knows that. But, yeah, to me, it's just, it doesn't, until they find the fuselage and the black box. And here's my other thing. I want the actual, I'd like to find it, the actual serial numbers of parts on MH370.
Mm-hmm.
Not crap that, I want it now.
Right.
I want it now before they find anything. That way, when they get it, what's the part number? Because it's easy to fabricate a parts list after you find parts and match serial numbers up with your fabricated parts list, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be real easy to do. What are you looking at over there?
Just something came up and I'm trying to figure it out.
Are we breaking our stuff now?
No. I'm trying to solve a problem that we've had for a while, but it's not.
You just don't know.
It was something that came up, and I was like, oh, well, I need to look that up real quick.
Yeah, all this stuff, man. I mean, if you look at those first circles, and the Maldives is out here in the British Indian Ocean territory, just south of the Arabian Sea. It's pretty much the same distance from there to Kuala Lumpur as it is to Beijing, so they had plenty of fuel to do so. The map that had the blue and the red on there shows where they could have went to. The fact that they turned it off, like I said, right in between the handshakes, and then flew the exact path that pilot himself said, "Hey, you know, I would have done the same thing had I been trying to hide this airplane." Basically saying, you know, hey, if I wanted to hide this is where I would go, and this is how I would do it. I think what ticks me off more than anything is the amount of money they spent in the Southern Indian Ocean off the coast of Perth to do this.
Right.
And somebody knows it's not there. And that's what sucks about it, because every conspiracy has the truth somewhere. And, you know, it's like, you know, my feelings on like 9/11 and stuff like that, the Kennedy assassination, just those things like that. Everybody knows it because it starts somewhere. And the fact that they wasted so much money on the thing, and they were so reluctant to go ahead and just turn it over to Australia. That to me is like, okay, you know, their military probably wasn't even involved. You know what I'm saying? Like the U.S., the Russia, the China, you know, with their radar and the military, that they could, you know, they could really have probably told you where this thing was because of their capabilities, but they didn't want to tip their hand, like I told you. The reluctance to turn it over, or the lack of reluctance to turn it over, I should say, to Australia really struck me odd. Because usually the U.S. is like, oh no, you know, we're big brother, we're going to take care of everything, blah blah blah, and they go out and they just, oh no, we'll let Australia go out the, you know, and go on a goose chase, which is all it was. I mean,
right.
there's no debris found. Like, how do you explain that? I mean, it would have had to like nosedive, right? Just like straight up, just go straight in the ocean. Well, that counteracts with the theory of it being on autopilot, because the theory is that they all just basically depressurized, knocked themselves out, and if the autopilot would have carried on the coordinates of what they typed in, so he typed in to go to the Southern Indian Ocean. I just watched that right before I came here. So that discredits that. So which is it? The autopilot took it until it ran out of gas, or he took a straight nosedive in the Indian Ocean 7 hours later? Why would you do that? I don't get it. If I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to do it now. Because I got no repercussion. Why go to the Southern Indian Ocean and do it? Why not just do it right there to Sea of Japan or Sea of China or whatever? I mean, it's just, it doesn't make sense at all to me, at all, of why this search has gone on so long in that location, and these eyewitnesses that have seen the plane, and there was others that saw, that I need to look up, that were on an oil rig that saw it, and a fishing boat that saw it up there in the Sea of China. They're blowing them off. It's like, okay, we've not found anything there. Why are we not looking here? And then you had MH370 get shot down, was it a month later in Russia? Then you had the other Malaysian airline go down in a thunderstorm right there in that sea. I mean, it was like 3 black eyes for him. Now those were, you know, those two were both easily explained. Right. But this one, to me, it's a conspiracy. I don't know what is the game behind it, and it's probably because they don't want you to know. But like I said, of everything I looked at, the biggest smoking gun is the fact that those 20 engineers were on there out of 21. And coincidence, question mark, Rothschild inherits Freescale Semiconductor Patent, results of engineers' deaths on flight MH370. So he's the sole owner of it now out of 21 people. 20 senior staff on board. And he just happened to be alone. It's like the guy that took out that massive insurance policy on the Twin Towers week before the planes were hit. I mean, it's just all this stuff's too crazy. Was it hijacked? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it had those anti-hijack since 9/11. It had those doors on there, but the co-pilot was notorious for his pictures on his Instagram of letting, especially hot girls, into the cockpit to take selfies with. That would have been easy. Just send a hot girl up there and then you bust through and kill them or whatever. I don't know the answer, but I can tell you that it's not in the Indian Ocean, or it's not in the southern Indian Ocean by Perth. It's just not there. And until they find that black box or that fuselage, and if they find it there, I'm probably still not going to be convinced until they pull that thing out of there and I hear the recording and all that stuff, because it's in the century, in the time we live in. I don't get it. And it's never going to be found because they don't want us to find it. That's what I think. And that's what sucks, because there's 237 families out there that deserve closure. Right. And they're not getting it because I don't know why. Like, I really wish I had an answer why this is happening, and why did they avert path? I mean, were they paid off? Or say, hey, like I said, one of the ARC takes it to Kazakhstan. That was one of the first things they thought. They said it could either went north and landed here at this airport in Kazakhstan, or it could went south towards the Indian Ocean, and all that stuff. And so it's like, did the pilots get paid off, or were there hijackers on there that got paid off? Whatever. But you had to know the exact time frame of the handshake between Malaysian airspace and Vietnam airspace, of that dark time to where you could shut the transponder off and make the turn right there. Yeah, so that rules out a cabin fire to me, because that's way, way, way too everything happened perfectly in a coincidence to me. So I just don't believe that happened at all, and I won't buy into that. I don't buy into that, and I don't buy into the fact that it's in the Southern Pacific Ocean. I just really feel for the people who have families on there that are getting screwed out of answers, because in my opinion, the government of Malaysia is not taking it serious enough to go to the Maldives, or go to the South China Sea, Gulf of Thailand. That was where the other one was, Gulf of Thailand. Basically South China Sea. All these places that people, eyewitness said that they say it. One was, like I said, oil rig. One was guys a fishing boat. But the number of people that said they saw it over to Maldives. I mean, to me, it's like, I live on a dead end road, right? Living on Maldives Islands, like living on dead. I mean, you don't have, you know what? It's like, I know when cars come down my road, I know that's not a car that's usually here. You know what I'm saying? I know that. If I'm living on a small island in the middle of the ocean, and I'm familiar with the air traffic coming in, I know when this plane is not a plane that's normally here.
It's something out of the ordinary.
Yeah. And it doesn't add up with the plane that they showed the picture of it all. And it does add up with the MH370. And the timeline adds up. The fuel adds up. The runway in Kazakhstan adds up. I mean, people want to say Kazakhstan. Well, hell, if you wanted to, and you got paid enough, money is root of all evil, right? If you wanted to, I mean, everybody has a price. It's just how much morals you really have. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't think of it as you think of it or as I think of it, because people are disturbed. I mean, just like people in jail. I could never imagine killing somebody, right? But this guy sitting in prison didn't mind knifing off a dude or shooting a guy. So if somebody comes up to you, let alone a billionaire, says, hey, man, I'll give you $5 million a piece, whatever. Fly to Kazakhstan, land this thing, hide it in this big hangar, and, then we'll get you transferred from there to South America, wherever you want to go. But you just have to live silently and carry out the rest of your days as a billionaire in another country, and you can't talk to your family ever again. I mean, if you're going to pick an airplane and a place to do that, that's a perfect place. The pilot, like I said, was divorced, was having problems with her, and he was having problems with his girlfriend, and they want to say that was why he would have committed suicide. To me, that's a perfect way of getting to somebody to say, hey, you got nothing back here, dude. I know he had his daughter, but, that once again comes into your morals. Is your daughter more important than money? Are you that depressed to where say, hey, because I suffer from depression, to where, hey, $5 million and I'm living in a tropical island somewhere. I don't know where it's at or why it's there. I can just tell you they wasted way too much money off the coast of Perth, Australia, on a snipe hunt. Basically, is what that's become, is a snipe hunt. And the fact that they've wasted that much money and somebody knows it's not there just pisses me off. I mean, it just pisses me off to no end, because that's a lot of money. I mean, it's the most expensive search and rescue mission in the history of aviation. And all for pretty much, like I said, a snipe hunt. I just really think it's ridiculous that they're actually still looking for this thing down there. So pretty much my take on it. I wish I had an answer of what I thought. I seriously think it's somewhere over the Maldives because of all the eyewitnesses. Maldives is a paradise in itself. I mean, you can say, well, what about the 230 some passengers? Well, all you got to do is go up and depressurize the cabin. They're gone. They can't talk and all that stuff. I mean, money does a lot of things, people, like I said. So if you wanted to, that's the reason they never made Cellphone. I mean, this is an overnight flight, right? There's people. I mean, it left at midnight and it's going to land at 6 in the morning. That's a red eye. People sleep on those things. They wouldn't notice if you were turning, not doing this. Hell, I don't know. I got to Indy the other day. We circled Indy. I mean, we were above the clouds, but I could tell we were turning. I'm like, we're at Indy. Why are we doing this? Well, we were waiting on our turn to land. But I mean, you can't tell. I mean, especially if you're asleep, right? So I don't know, man. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and I just really wish that they would take these other accounts into consideration. But the problem is, there's a reason they're not, because somebody doesn't want them to.
Right.
Because that airplane is in a hangar somewhere, probably dismantled by now, honestly. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if it was dismantled and they threw one of those wings and that part of that wing in the ocean and let it float just so they could have another scapegoat on the conspiracy theory. And what's funny is where they found it's closer to the Maldives than it is the Southern Indian Ocean. You know what I'm saying? So I just really think that they're pulling one over everybody's eyes, and it's just it sucks. It sucks bad, and it's not fair. I couldn't imagine if, like, say my wife or a lady's husband or whoever's on there and has to deal with that crap, right? It's just sad. It's just so sad. And the simple fact that you're like, one lady said today I was watching was just last week, because it's becoming on the 5-year anniversary of it.
Right.
5, 10, 20. That's when they do a lot of it. One of them actually got to sit down with a new Malaysian prime minister, and he said he's still looking for it. She just wants closure. And it's like, these poor people just got to live with the fact that they're being lied to, and some of them know it, because they're like, there's no proof that it crashed, so they could be alive somewhere, and that's what they're hanging on to. And that's the saddest part to me, is that they're hanging on to that thread of hope that they are alive when they still could be dead without crashing, because of just taking them up and depressurizing the cabin, and you could throw them out, just kill them, just leave it depressurized. I mean, it's just to the point where it's just really, if it is a conspiracy, like I think, like most conspiracies are, it's crappy for everybody involved, except for the people who are reaping the benefits from it. And with it being a 5-year anniversary, and now it's starting to show up on YouTube and Twitter again, because people are starting to talk about it again, They just keep wanting to. They keep, to me, kind of diverting. Like I said, the magician. They keep throwing you over here when it's over here. They keep showing you the pieces of the airplane. This definitely belonged to MH370. Well, how do we know that? How do you know that? Well, it matches this paperwork. Well, how do I know that's the right paperwork? I mean, it's easy to make up a lot. You and I could make up a conspiracy theory right here in town, and I guarantee we get it spread over in a week. Next week on the show, it'd be like, talk about, man, somebody, did you hear about blah, 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 blah. I could start something up with Circle K. Oh, yeah, they're going to have a Baskin Robbins just because she said 21 flavors when it's 31 flavors. I mean, it's just anything you want to do, you can make a lie about and get people to think about it. So it's just one of them things that very near and dear to me, and I really, really, I get infatuated with conspiracy theories. I mean, you do a show on them, and they're fun to talk about, and they're fun to listen to. But this one just irks the shit out of me because of the amount of money spent and the fact that there's still nothing found, because I believe they're looking in the wrong spot, because it's the best way to do it. Divert them, make them look over here while you're over here. And I just want to know what's on that plane besides those engineers that would have made them do it. So I have a hard time, like the other one, the guy that flew that one into the Alps or whatever.
Yeah, but if you say you have a hard time with the making billions of dollars off of 200 people, I mean,
no, not that.
No, okay,
I said I have a hard time with the taking 7 hours to kill yourself.
No, okay, yeah.
Like the other guy that flew into a mountain on the one, the co-pilot got out to use the restroom, or the pilot did, and he locked him out and flew in there. If you're gonna do it,
do it.
Like, you're not gonna wait until you run out of gas. It just doesn't add up to me, dude. Like, if I'm gonna off myself, I'm gonna do it. Like, I don't want to really pull up the history of suicide, but I would imagine it took people a lot less than 7 hours to decide they were going to kill themselves. I really do. I mean, it does not add up to me. Why, if you're going to do which that's what the biggest theory is it was a murder suicide, and he dipped over his wing to look at his hometown one last time and straightened it back out and then took off. Doesn't make sense to me, man. It just does not make any sense. I'm not going to do that. If I'm going to do it, I'd just say, okay, bye, and then boom, down in the ocean I'd go. I wouldn't fly till I ran out of fuel.
Or the fact that you flew over mountains.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't get it. It just does not make any sense to me. But I'd love to hear other people's thoughts and stuff. I know the survivors of the people that are on there still have hope. They're still like, until you find the black box in this, they don't believe that it crashed. And I don't even have one on there, and I'm with them. I mean, I'd be like, until I see the fuselage and I hear the black box, I'd be with them. But yeah, it's just so weird. It just really just doesn't make any sense. And the fact that it's a 5-year anniversary and they're still not any closer than they were 15 days after it, it just doesn't make sense. And to me, it's because they're looking in the wrong spot, and I'm going to stick with that until they pull that son of a gun out of there, which I don't see happening because it's not there. So that's my take on the situation. And I'd love to see it found. It's the only one that's not found, and that's the thing. I'd love to see it found and love to hear what happened. And even if they do, are we going to hear the truth? Is it going to be, if it is conspiracy, is it going to be the real black box? Is it going to be something else? I mean, there's all these ifs, ands, and buts about it. But to me, that is the biggest thing: is what happened that night. Were they hijacked? Were they this? Because everything was calm. Everything was, good night 370. And then turn over to Vietnam. Well, guess what? Boom, transponder turns off. Let's turn around. It just doesn't add up to why you would do a murder suicide 7 hours later. I just don't get that at all, and I don't get why. To me, if I'm behind that conspiracy, if I'm the government behind this conspiracy,
right,
I would have so much problem with how many millions were spent. But if I'm a person over this, it's like an evil billionaire. I guess that's one thing. If you're Lex Luthor or whatever, right? And you've got your motives and you've got the money, but I don't see how the government that knows it's not there is going to allow you to spend millions and millions of dollars on a needle in a haystack. I just don't get it. I don't really get it all. We're going to take a break, and we'll talk to you after this.
You're listening to the DJ Booth on PipeCreekRadio.com. Now, back to the show with your host, Dustin Jacobs.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. We're going to call it a day. I really appreciate everybody who called in. I really appreciate the conversation about everything. We're going to call it a day. And don't forget, I will be changing to Sundays. So next Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel at noon here on Pipe Creek Radio. And hope you enjoyed the show. Had a lot of viewers, so I appreciate that, and had a lot of comments. I feel like Sunday's a better day. It gets everybody on here, and it gives them a chance to actually participate in the show, so you don't have to work. And hopefully have some guests lined up now that I'll have a day where they'll have a day off. They can come in and sit down and talk with me. So anyway, Chris has to get out of here. He's going to be gone, heading to Florida. He's a jerk, so he's going to be down there where it's warm. And we're going to be
says
doing
the guy who spent a week down there too.
That's still not fair. So anyway, we're going to end it, and go Tigers. Good luck in the regionals this weekend. And we'll catch you next Sunday right here on PipeCreekRadio.com. Have a good day.